All right, yeah. My take for 99 is just that I believe at the end of the season, that NFL teams, the owners, the front offices, they're gonna recognize that they need to highlight their playmakers more than the starting quarterbacks. I know the paradigm shift is coming soon, and it's gonna be happen this year. I've been on the microphone for the last couple of weeks now, talking about how the playmakers are the ones making this team look bright, making teams look great, making teams look bright, and that the time to prioritize these quarterbacks who are pedestrian at best, middle of the pack, are over. If you're not a top echelon quarterback, if you're not Patrick Mahomes, the Jalen Hurts, and Lamar Jackson, the electrifying quarterbacks of this NFL, you're no longer going to look and should anticipate those crazy contracts that we just seen guys like Daniel Jones receive. They got guys like Trevor Lawrence just got for being a bust, you could say, damn near. A number one quarterback who hasn't reached their potential. There's a lot of different things you could label this guy, but that quarterback time is over. I just think these guys have been underproducing, and their names have rung bells for so long. It just doesn't make any sense how they're getting paid all this damn money, and they're not. And guys like Saquon Barkley, a running back, yes, but a guy who's been electrifying on a Giants football field for the last couple of years can't even get paid because they say, oh, when you're 27 and a running back, we can't pay you because statistics show that you get a down year, you start declining. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And I think it's just getting to that point where organizations are getting tired of these quarterbacks not producing, and these quarterbacks are doing everything but producing. And I think it's getting to that point where these guys are going to stop getting paid the money that they're getting, such like the Derek Carrs of the world. So I think my take for 99 is the time of paying a quarterback is over. If you're not a top five, say bye-bye.
You know what? I want to go ahead because my take is actually going to rebuttal partially Zay's take. So it's kind of responding with my take. And Zach, if you want to respond to anything we both said after, feel free and then bring us home. But my take for 99, and it kind of sums up this whole entire show in a very good defining way. Dak Prescott can torch Jerry Jones for the rest of his life if Jerry Jones makes this fatal mistake, which is not paying Dak Prescott. Because obviously, Jerry Jones, hello, wake up, where are you? What's going on? He hasn't paid anybody. He hasn't made no moves, no acquisitions. He didn't even pay his guys yet. What's going on, Jerry Jones? CeeDee Lamb is hungry. He about to hold out. Dak Prescott, I think you should hold out, right? We just saw Trevor Lawrence get paid. He got the bag, $55 per year annually, tying the salary of Joe Burrow at the top of the market. The market is continuing to raise. Right now, it's looking like Dak Prescott is about to command $60 million. Okay? And if Jerry Jones continues to wait, it's going to increase, and the market is going to go up. Bro, the quarterback market has shown us that we need to rush to pay our guys so we don't have to pay them more money on the back end. Jerry Jones, what are we doing? And I think the correlation to everything we talked about with the Saquon Barkley topic, Saquon Barkley, they didn't want to pay Saquon Barkley. Guess what? Saquon Barkley said, you know what? I'm going to go to Philly. I'm going to take money over there and I'm going to torment, okay, the Giants, okay, because I play them twice a year. And I think if they don't pay Dak Prescott and allow him to play this season without a new contract, Dak Prescott is going to leave and join the New York Giants, who we also talked about a lot, replacing Daniel Jones, who we just talked about. Okay, and he, along with Malik Neighbors, Dak Prescott and Malik Neighbors, is going to be the duo that torments Jerry Jones for life. Listen, I don't think Jerry Jones is a good person individually. I'm not in the business of telling people if they're going to go to heaven or hell. Okay, maybe, he did a lot of bad in his life, but guess what? He don't got to go to hell to get tormented. Dak Prescott is going to torment Jerry Jones if he joins the New York Giants because he doesn't want to pay that man. There's a lot of examples of teams or good players leaving teams to go to division rivals. We saw Patrick Queen say, you know what? I'm going to make a king move and leave the Ravens to go to the Steelers. I'm going to steal the Ravens' joy. Okay, because I'm going to join the rival. Okay, Saquon Barkley did the same thing, and Dak Prescott will be next if Jerry Jones don't pay that man his money.
So I think the Dak situation is interesting because I see why maybe Jerry Jones would have some hesitation. You know, we've spoken a lot about on this show over the years about some of Dak Prescott's shortcomings, especially fresh off another very disappointing playoff loss. I could see why maybe there could be some hesitation. But personally, what I'm surprised about is the Dallas Cowboys have literally stuck by Dak Prescott since they drafted him in every situation. If you remember his rookie year, you know, Tony Romo gets hurt. They make him the starter. And then a couple of years later, he has that brutal injury. We're having our questions about if they should pay him. They do. The contract hasn't earned out great, but at least they have stability. And Dak Prescott, you can make the argument, he's coming off maybe his best regular season ever as quarterback of the Cowboys. He was in the top 5 of the MVP conversation. Now, I know that the playoff game was a massive disappointment and it sucked like that to end that way. But I just think overall the Cowboys are in such a bind. Like, you have to pay CD, you have to pay Micah Parsons. Even with all these guys on the team this year, I don't think it's really leading to anything, especially if Mike McCarthy is still coaching that team. That was another big mistake by Jerry. I don't know why they brought him back. They should have went after a Bill Belichick or a Mike Vrabel if they really were serious about winning this year. But I just think the Cowboys are in a lose-lose. Like, if you bring Dak back, okay, that makes sense. You know, you have him, but we kind of know that Dak Prescott isn't a championship caliber quarterback. I'm sorry, but that's just the reality. But you don't want to lose him, and then you're in quarterback wilderness. Well, it's interesting about the Giants. That would be a real FU to the Cowboys. I was actually thinking the Raiders could be a possible destination. You know, we know that that team really needs a star at that quarterback position. They tried it with Jimmy Garoppolo. They went after Tom Brady. Those moves obviously didn't work out. I could see them just offering him the absolute bag, but it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I'm just surprised, though, that now is all of a sudden the time that Jerry Jones hesitates with Dak, because he's literally been by his side his whole career. And now, fresh off an MVP caliber season, is when he decides to pivot. That's interesting logic.
Yeah, I agree. You got to pay the man. I mean, you want quarterback stability, right? You don't want to be in quarterback purgatory, right? Is Trey Lance that dude? Who knows? You got to pay the man. That's how the quarterback, market operates, is you pay who's next to get paid. And Trevor Lawrence didn't deserve $55 million yet. He ain't showed that he's a top of the league quarterback, but he's getting paid like one. He's getting paid one of the best quarterback in the NFL. So it's not about the playoff choking. Yeah, I mean, obviously you want your guy to show up in January, okay? But at the end of the day, it is what it is. You know, you got to pay that man. It's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL right now, whether we like it or not. Or top 15, maybe. Depends. I don't want to give away my quarterback rankings, maybe. All right, Zach, the mic is yours to bring us home.
All right, guys. I'm going to go back into the NBA for my take for 99. And we kind of hit on this earlier in the show, and I didn't have too much to say about it, but I'm going to fully get into it right now. I said the Lakers should be mentioned as one of the worst run franchises in all of sports based on their offseason and everything that's went down. But I'm not done giving the LA teams in the NBA some smoke just yet. I wanted to talk about the Clippers. And although they might not be like I like Steve Ballmer. You know, he's committed a lot to the team. I don't think they're poorly ran, but they might just be cursed. And we know the conversation about this team. They brought in Paul George from OKC. One of the worst, it could go down as one of the worst trades in the history of the NBA. Really the modern day version of the Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce trade to Brooklyn that we saw a decade ago. And we know the deal, right? Like, they shipped out Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and 5 future firsts to OKC. And I think that could be a little misleading because the trade for Paul George also got them Kawhi Leonard, fresh off an NBA title with the Raptors. I don't think Kawhi goes to the Clippers if they don't make that trade for Paul George. But I also think that's a move that every general manager in the NBA at that time would have made, considering what Kawhi just did with the Raptors. But we have to talk about how it really is. Like, we have to get to the reality of the situation. And that's the bottom line of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. That era in Los Angeles just didn't work out. They won 0 playoff series in the last 3 seasons. Excuse me. And they got to a conference finals in 2021. But when Paul George, like, that was when he played out of his mind and he carried them there without Kawhi. And when they got to the conference finals against Phoenix, they lost in 5. The one playoffs they were both healthy was in the bubble, 4 months of rest. Like, they had that rest time going in. And we know that's never going to happen again. And they choked in historic fashion, blowing a 3-1 series lead to the Nuggets. I don't really blame them for letting Paul George walk in free agency, because it would have been a mistake to recommit to him for the next 4 years. Even with him back, I don't think they would have won a title this year, because they're not really close. But I just don't know what they were thinking, giving Kawhi Leonard that extension right before the offseason even started. I think that was a mistake, and it's going to bite them. And then going into this season, they're going to have to pray Kawhi gets healthy, which we all know he's not. James Harden is going to be in paradise, having the ball in his hands all the time and putting up great numbers. But we know that's not going to lead to any winning. And then they bring in Kevin Porter Jr., who has zero business being in the NBA. Look up his off-the-court history if you're wondering why. They also brought in Josh Primo last offseason. Look at what happened to him off the court as well. And now I'm reading that they have interest in flipping Terrence Mann and Norman Powell, who are two players I really like, for Miles Bridges, another guy that has zero business playing in the NBA ever again. You guys know the G League Ignite, like they just took some of the best high school players around the country and pay for them to play in the G League for a season. And then they get drafted, like Ron Holland just got drafted by the Pistons, and Jalen Green, Jonathan Kuminga, they all played in that program. I feel like this team should be called Jail League Ignite, because the inmates are clearly running the asylum, and this team has a pure culture problem. That's why they're bringing in those guys. And I'm just out on the Los Angeles Clippers going forward. In my mind, they're right up there with the Lakers for the biggest circus show in the NBA, and I just don't know what they're doing with these offseason moves. I think they're an abomination.
Yeah, I just will respond to that real quickly here with my closing thoughts. I think with the Clippers, I do agree that they have a lot of bad luck. You can't only blame the bad luck because they've made bad decisions. But when you talk about the bad luck when they made these moves for Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, you got to remember, man, they had that 3-1 lead against the Nuggets, and Kawhi Leonard was fresh off of leading Toronto to a championship, and he goes into his shell. He's hitting shots off the backboard, like literally froze up him and Paul George. And we never really seen Kawhi, freeze up like that. I remember Kawhi when the Warriors were favored to win that game 1, and Kawhi goes off. And then I believe he got injured in one of those games, and they had that lead, and that lead just evaporated. Kawhi Leonard was an impact player. And just to have that moment, that was bad luck right there. They blew that lead, and they blew that series, and they blew their golden opportunity to win a championship that season with that core. And I think ever since that time and that blown opportunity, the injury situation, Paul George is playing, then he's not. Then Kawhi Leonard, his situation, he's playing, then he's not. Ever since they blew that lead, it blew everything out the water. And I'm not surprised we are where we are today. All right. That wraps up another episode of 99 Pod. It was a stacked show, a loaded show. I'm going to go to eat. There's dinner on the table. All right, fellas, it was a good one. Looking forward to the next.
Absolutely. Always a good time.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.